Friends, we have a small request. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe now. Like, share, and express your opinions in the comments if you like this video. Your comments, whether positive or negative, are valuable to us. We consider them as suggestions and strive to implement them in future videos. Thank you. Let's start the practice test.
What are 3 responsibilities of citizenship? Option A, being loyal to Canada, recycling newspapers, serving in the Navy, Army, or Air Force. Option B, obeying the law, taking responsibility for oneself and one's family, serving on a jury. Option C, learning both official languages, voting in elections, belonging to a union. Option D, buying Canadian products, owning your own business, using less water. The correct answer is obeying the law, taking responsibility for oneself and one's family, serving on a jury. Explanation: these responsibilities ensure that citizens contribute positively to society by following laws, supporting their families, and participating in the judicial system, thus maintaining order and justice in the community. What is the meaning of the Remembrance Day poppy? Option A, to remember our sovereign, Queen Elizabeth II. Option B, to celebrate Confederation. Option C, to honor prime ministers who have died. Option D, to remember the sacrifice of Canadians who have served or died in wars up to the present day. The correct answer is to remember the sacrifice of Canadians who have served or died in wars up to the present day. Explanation: the Remembrance Day poppy symbolizes the sacrifice of Canadian soldiers, honoring their courage, dedication, and commitment to protecting the nation throughout its history and during conflicts. How are members of Parliament chosen in Canada? Option A, they are appointed by the United Nations. Option B, they are chosen by the provincial premiers. Option C, they are elected by voters in their local constituency. Option D, they are elected by landowners and police chiefs. The correct answer is they are elected by voters in their local constituency. Explanation: members of Parliament (MPs) are directly elected by voters in their local constituencies. This process ensures that each riding is represented in the House of Commons based on the collective choice of its citizens. Name 2 key documents that contain our rights and freedoms. Option A, the Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights. Option B, the Canadian Constitution Act of 1867 and the English Common Law. Option C, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Civil Code of France. Option D, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Constitution of Canada. The correct answer is the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Constitution of Canada. Explanation: the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms is part of the Constitution, which guarantees and protects the rights and freedoms of Canadians, reflecting their shared history and values. Identify 4 rights that Canadians enjoy. Option A, mobility rights, Aboriginal people's rights, official language rights, and multiculturalism. Option B, right to bear arms, freedom of movement, right to vote, and freedom of assembly. Option C, freedom of religion, right to employment, right to bear arms, and freedom of speech. Option D, right to free healthcare, right to education, right to own property, and right to bear arms. The correct answer is mobility rights, Aboriginal people's rights, official language rights, and multiculturalism. Explanation: these rights, enshrined in the Canadian Charter, ensure that Canadians have the freedom to move, recognize Aboriginal treaties, promote bilingualism, and celebrate cultural diversity, reflecting Canada's values. Name 4 fundamental freedoms that Canadians enjoy. Option A, freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms, freedom of assembly, and right to privacy. Option B, freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought and expression, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. Option C, freedom to choose a profession, right to bear arms, freedom of economic activity, and right to own property. Option D, freedom to travel abroad, right to social benefits, freedom to bear arms, and right to public employment. The correct answer is freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought and expression, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. Explanation: these fundamental freedoms, rooted in Canada's legal framework, allow individuals to express beliefs, gather peacefully, and associate with others, promoting a diverse and inclusive society. What is meant by the equality of women and men? Option A, women and men have equal rights and responsibilities under Canadian law. Option B, women are prioritized over men in legal matters. Option C, men have more rights in cultural practices than women. Option D, women and men are treated differently based on tradition. The correct answer is, women and men have equal rights and responsibilities under Canadian law. Explanation: the equality of women and men signifies that both genders are legally recognized as equals in rights and responsibilities, ensuring protection against gender-based violence and discrimination in Canada. What are some examples of taking responsibility for yourself and your family? Option A, relying on the government for support without action. Option B, taking a job, caring for family, and contributing to society. Option C, ignoring family needs and focusing solely on leisure. Option D, avoiding community involvement and responsibilities. The correct answer is taking a job, caring for family, and contributing to society. Explanation: taking responsibility includes securing employment, caring for family members, and actively contributing to the community, embodying the Canadian values of hard work and personal integrity. Who were the founding peoples of Canada? Option A, Aboriginal, Spanish, and Dutch. Option B, Irish, British, and Scottish. Option C, Aboriginal, French, and British. Option D, French, German, and Italian. The correct answer is Aboriginal, French, and British. Explanation: the founding peoples of Canada, Aboriginal peoples, French settlers, and British colonizers, have each played a crucial role in shaping Canada's diverse history, culture, and national identity. Who are the Métis? Option A, a group of exclusively Aboriginal people living in urban areas. Option B, a group of English-speaking immigrants from the United Kingdom. Option C, a community of French-speaking settlers from Quebec. Option D, a distinct people of mixed Aboriginal and European ancestry. The correct answer is a distinct people of mixed Aboriginal and European ancestry. Explanation: the Métis are a unique cultural group formed from mixed Aboriginal and European ancestry, predominantly in the Prairie provinces, and they speak their own dialect called Michif. What does the word Inuit mean? Option A, the people. Option B, the hunters. Option C, the warriors. Option D, the travelers. The correct answer is the people. Explanation: Inuit means the people in the Inuktitut language, highlighting their identity as the indigenous communities living in the Arctic and their deep connection to the land. What is meant by the term responsible government? Option A, a government that is accountable to the monarchy. Option B, a government that operates without any laws. Option C, a government where elected officials are accountable to the people. Option D, a government that is solely controlled by the Prime Minister. The correct answer is a government where elected officials are accountable to the people. Explanation: responsible government means that elected officials, including the Prime Minister and Cabinet, must answer to the electorate, ensuring accountability and representation in the political process. Who was Sir Louis Hippolyte Lafontaine? Option A, the first Governor-General of Canada. Option B, a military general during the War of 1812. Option C, an English-speaking advocate for British colonial rule. Option D, a key reformer and the first leader of a responsible government in Canada. The correct answer is a key reformer and the first leader of a responsible government in Canada. Explanation: Sir Louis Hippolyte Lafontaine was a significant reformer in Canadian history, advocating for democracy and French language rights, and he became the first leader of a responsible government in 1849. What did the Canadian Pacific Railway symbolize? Option A, economic independence. Option B, national unity and progress. Option C, cultural diversity. Option D, military strength. The correct answer is national unity and progress. Explanation: the Canadian Pacific Railway symbolized national unity and progress by connecting Canada's eastern and western regions, fulfilling a promise made to British Columbia and facilitating national development and integration. What does Confederation mean? Option A, the establishment of a new country with federal and provincial governments. Option B, the unification of Canada with the United States. Option C, the creation of a monarchy in Canada. Option D, the process of British colonies becoming independent nations. The correct answer is the establishment of a new country with federal and provincial governments. Explanation: Confederation represents the 1867 unification of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and the Province of Canada, creating the Dominion of Canada with federal and provincial governments for local governance. What is the significance of the discovery of insulin by Sir Frederick Banting and Charles Best? Option A, it was the first vaccine for a viral disease. Option B, it provided a hormone to treat diabetes, saving millions of lives. Option C, it eliminated the need for diabetes medication entirely. Option D, it was a significant advancement in cancer research. The correct answer is, it provided a hormone to treat diabetes, saving millions of lives. Explanation: the discovery of insulin by Sir Frederick Banting and Charles Best was significant as it provided a hormone to treat diabetes, effectively managing the condition and saving around 16 million lives globally. What does it mean to say that Canada is a constitutional monarchy? Option A, Canada has no monarchy and is a republic. Option B, the sovereign is the head of government and makes laws. Option C, the sovereign reigns according to the Constitution, separating powers. Option D, the Prime Minister is the only leader of the country. The correct answer is, the sovereign reigns according to the Constitution, separating powers. Explanation: in a constitutional monarchy, Canada's sovereign serves as a symbolic figurehead, operating within constitutional boundaries, while the Prime Minister governs, ensuring a clear separation between the head of state and government. What are the three branches of government in Canada? Option A, legislative, executive, judicial. Option B, federal, provincial, municipal. Option C, sovereign, parliamentary, democratic. Option D, Senate, House of Commons, Governor General. The correct answer is legislative, executive, judicial. Explanation: Canada's government consists of three branches: the legislative, responsible for making laws; the executive, responsible for enforcing laws; and the judicial, responsible for interpreting laws. What is the difference between the role of the King or Queen and that of the Prime Minister in Canada? Option A, the King or Queen represents the state; the Prime Minister directs the government. Option B, the King or Queen enforces laws; the Prime Minister creates laws. Option C, the King or Queen is elected; the Prime Minister is appointed. Option D, the King or Queen manages finances; the Prime Minister manages military affairs. The correct answer is, the King or Queen represents the state; the Prime Minister directs the government. Explanation: the King or Queen serves as the ceremonial head of state, while the Prime Minister is the head of government, responsible for running the country and making policy decisions. What is the highest honor that Canadians can receive? Option A, the Victoria Cross. Option B, the Order of Canada. Option C, the Medal of Bravery. Option D, the Canadian Forces Decoration. The correct answer is, the Order of Canada. Explanation: the Order of Canada, established in 1967, is the pinnacle of Canadian honors, celebrating exceptional service and contributions that enrich the lives of fellow Canadians and the nation. When you go to vote on Election Day, what do? Option A, go to the nearest polling station and vote. Option B, call Elections Canada for instructions. Option C, visit the National Register of Electors online. Option D, go to the polling station listed on your voter information card. The correct answer is, go to the polling station listed on your voter information card. Explanation: on Election Day, voters must go to the polling station indicated on their voter information card to cast their ballots, ensuring they are at the correct location. Who is entitled to vote in Canadian federal elections? Option A, any resident of Canada. Option B, only Canadian citizens aged 18 and older. Option C, permanent residents of Canada. Option D, individuals on the National Register of Electors. The correct answer is, only Canadian citizens aged 18 and older. Explanation: Canadian federal elections are a privilege reserved for citizens aged 18 and older, ensuring that only those with a stake in the country's future can participate in the democratic process. In Canada, are you obliged to tell other people how you voted? Option A, yes, you must inform your employer. Option B, yes, you must tell your family. Option C, no, you have the right to keep it secret. Option D, yes, you must disclose your vote to union representatives. The correct answer is, no, you have the right to keep it secret. Explanation: Canadian law guarantees the right to a secret ballot, meaning individuals are not obligated to disclose their voting choices to anyone, ensuring privacy in the electoral process. After an election, which party forms the government? Option A, the party with the most votes nationwide. Option B, the party with the most seats in the House of Commons. Option C, the party with the least seats in the House of Commons. Option D, the party that receives the highest donations. The correct answer is the party with the most seats in the House of Commons. Explanation: the party that secures the most seats in the House of Commons is invited by the Governor-General to form the government and appoint the Prime Minister. What is one of the primary responsibilities of a Member of Parliament MP in Canada? Option A, to serve as a judge in court. Option B, to hold town hall meetings with constituents. Option C, to propose and debate legislation. Option D, to conduct scientific research. The correct answer is to propose and debate legislation. Explanation: MPs propose and debate laws in the House of Commons, playing a crucial role in shaping legislation that affects their constituents and the country as a whole. What are the three levels of government in Canada? Option A, federal, state, and local. Option B, federal, provincial or territorial and municipal. Option C, national, regional, and local. Option D, central, state, and community. The correct answer is federal, provincial, or territorial and municipal. Explanation: Canada's governance structure consists of three levels: federal, which handles national issues; provincial or territorial, addressing regional matters; and municipal, managing local community services and needs. What is the role of the courts in Canada? Option A, to mediate between political parties. Option B, to provide legal advice to citizens. Option C, to oversee law enforcement agencies. Option D, to interpret laws and administer justice. The correct answer is to interpret laws and administer justice. Explanation: Canadian courts interpret laws and administer justice, resolving disputes and protecting rights, with various courts handling different types of cases across the judicial system. In Canada, are you allowed to question the police about their service or conduct? Option A, yes, through a formal complaint process. Option B, no, you must accept their actions. Option C, only if you have evidence of wrongdoing. Option D, yes, but only in emergencies. The correct answer is yes, through a formal complaint process. Explanation: in Canada, individuals can question police conduct through a formal complaint process, allowing citizens to voice concerns and seek action regarding police services and behavior. Name two Canadian symbols. Option A, the oak leaf and the flag of Quebec. Option B, the eagle and the rose. Option C, the maple leaf and the fleur-de-lis. Option D, the bear and the Union Jack. The correct answer is the maple leaf and the fleur-de-lis. Explanation: the maple leaf symbolizes Canadian identity and unity, while the fleur-de-lis reflects Quebec's French heritage, both representing significant aspects of Canada's cultural history and national pride. What provinces are referred to as the Atlantic Provinces? Option A, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Option B, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. Option C, British Columbia, Alberta, Yukon, and Northwest Territories. Option D, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Alberta, and Newfoundland. The correct answer is Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Explanation: the Atlantic provinces include Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island, known for their rich maritime heritage and significant economic resources. Which of the following statements about Nova Scotia is not true? Option A, Nova Scotia is known for having the world's highest tides in the Bay of Fundy. Option B, Halifax, the capital of Nova Scotia, is Canada's largest east coast port. Option C, the province is mainly recognized for its desert landscapes and arid climate. Option D, Nova Scotia has a vibrant culture influenced by its Celtic and Gaelic traditions. The correct answer is, the province is mainly recognized for its desert landscapes and arid climate. Explanation: the statement about desert landscapes is incorrect because Nova Scotia is characterized by its coastal geography and high tides. The province has a rich maritime culture shaped by Celtic and Gaelic traditions, emphasizing its diverse and vibrant identity. What are the three primary sectors that make up the Canadian economy? Option A, service, manufacturing, natural resources. Option B, technology, agriculture, retail. Option C, finance, tourism, transportation. Option D, construction, education, mining. The correct answer is service, manufacturing, natural resources. Explanation: the Canadian economy is structured around three main sectors: service industries, manufacturing, and natural resources, which are vital for employment and economic stability in the country. What are the 5 distinct regions of Canada? Option A: Atlantic provinces, Great Plains, coastal regions, Central Canada, Arctic territories. Option B: Eastern Canada, Western Canada, Central Canada, Northern territories, Arctic regions. Option C: Maritime provinces, Great Lakes, Prairie provinces, Rockies, Northern territories. Option D: Atlantic provinces, Central Canada, Prairie provinces, West Coast, Northern territories. The correct answer is Atlantic provinces, Central Canada, Prairie provinces, West Coast, Northern territories. Explanation: Canada is divided into 5 distinct regions: the Atlantic provinces, Central Canada, the Prairie provinces, the West Coast, and the Northern territories, each showcasing diverse cultures, landscapes, and economies. What are Canada's 2 official languages? Option A: English and Spanish. Option B: French and German. Option C: English and French. Option D: French and Italian. The correct answer is English and French. Explanation: Canada recognizes English and French as its official languages, reflecting the country's rich history and cultural partnership, and requiring language proficiency for citizenship, with some age exemptions. What document first guaranteed territorial rights for Indigenous peoples in Canada? Option A: the Constitution Act of 1982. Option B: the Royal Proclamation of 1763. Option C: the Indian Act of 1876. Option D: the Treaty of Paris. The correct answer is the Royal Proclamation of 1763. Explanation: the Royal Proclamation of 1763, issued by King George III, established territorial rights for Indigenous peoples in Canada, laying the groundwork for future treaty negotiations and recognition. Who are Anglophones and Francophones in Canada? Option A: people who speak Spanish and Portuguese. Option B: people who speak Mandarin and Japanese. Option C: people who speak Italian and German. Option D: people who speak English and French. The correct answer is people who speak English and French. Explanation: Anglophones are individuals who speak English as their first language, while Francophones are those who speak French, representing significant cultural groups within Canada's diverse population. What did the Constitutional Act of 1791 accomplish in Canada? Option A: divided Quebec into Upper and Lower Canada. Option B: established a monarchy. Option C: created the Canadian Confederation. Option D: recognized Indigenous sovereignty. The correct answer is divided Quebec into Upper and Lower Canada. Explanation: the Constitutional Act of 1791 divided Quebec into Upper Canada, primarily English-speaking and Loyalist, and Lower Canada, predominantly French-speaking and Catholic, shaping the region's political landscape. Who is recognized as the first Prime Minister of Canada? Option A: Wilfrid Laurier. Option B: Louis St. Laurent. Option C: Sir John A. Macdonald. Option D: John Diefenbaker. The correct answer is Sir John A. Macdonald. Explanation: Sir John A. Macdonald, a pivotal architect of Confederation, became Canada's first Prime Minister in 1867, shaping the nation's political landscape and leaving a lasting legacy in Canadian history. What role did the Bluebirds serve in the Royal Canadian Army Medical Corps? Option A: engineers. Option B: nurses. Option C: supply officers. Option D: medics. The correct answer is nurses. Explanation: the Bluebirds, a nickname for over 3,000 nurses in the Royal Canadian Army Medical Corps, provided essential medical care, with 2,500 serving overseas during crucial wartime efforts. What event set off the Great Depression in Canada during the 1930s? Option A: World War I. Option B: the introduction of the New Deal. Option C: the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. Option D: the stock market crash of 1929. The correct answer is the stock market crash of 1929. Explanation: the stock market crash of 1929 triggered the Great Depression, known as the Dirty Thirties, resulting in severe unemployment, business failures, and devastating impacts on Western Canadian farmers. What role did the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, Play in postwar Canada? Option A, promoting military alliances. Option B, opening restrictive trading policies. Option C, establishing environmental regulations. Option D, creating currency exchange standards. The correct answer is opening restrictive trading policies. Explanation: the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, which evolved into the World Trade Organization, WTO, played a crucial role in post-war Canada by opening restrictive trading policies, facilitating economic growth and improved living standards. What is the role of the Governor-General in Canada? Option A, appointing judges. Option B, leading the military. Option C, representing the sovereign. Option D, creating laws. The correct answer is representing the sovereign. Explanation: the Governor-General serves as the representative of the sovereign in Canada, appointed on the Prime Minister's advice, fulfilling ceremonial duties and ensuring the constitutional framework functions effectively. What does Canada's national motto Amari Usqui Admire translate to in English? Option A, from coast to coast. Option B, from sea to sea. Option C, from north to south. Option D, from land to land. The correct answer is from sea to sea. Explanation: Canada's national motto, Amari Usqui Admire, translates to from sea to sea, reflecting national pride and encompassing the vastness of the country, symbolized in its coat of arms. What was the significance of the South African War? Boer War. For Canadians? Option A, it showcased Canadian military involvement. Option B, it marked Canada's independence. Option C, it led to the creation of Canada. Option D, it changed Canada's national language. The correct answer is it showcased Canadian military involvement. Explanation: the South African War or Boer War was significant for Canadians as over 7,000 volunteered to fight, reflecting their pride in the British Empire and military involvement abroad. What was the role of the Royal Canadian Navy in the Battle of the Atlantic? Option A, engaging in aerial combat. Option B, providing medical assistance. Option C, conducting land invasions. Option D, protecting merchant ship convoys. The correct answer is protecting merchant ship convoys. Explanation: during the Battle of the Atlantic, the Royal Canadian Navy's primary role was protecting convoys of merchant ships from German submarines, crucial for resupplying Britain during World War II. What was the purpose of forming the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? NATO? Option A, to establish a military alliance. Option B, to promote economic cooperation. Option C, to support communist countries. Option D, to regulate international trade. The correct answer is to establish a military alliance. Explanation: NATO was formed to establish a military alliance among democratic countries, including Canada, in response to the Cold War threats posed by the Soviet Union and communist expansion. What contributions have Canadians made to literature and the arts? Option A, minimal influence. Option B, significant cultural contributions. Option C, limited to historical writing. Option D, primarily focused on visual arts. The correct answer is significant cultural contributions. Explanation: Canadians have made significant contributions to literature and the arts, with influential writers and musicians enriching both English and French cultural landscapes, diversifying the nation's literary experience. Who were the inventors of the first electric light bulb? Option A, Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. Option B, Alexander Graham Bell and Guglielmo Marconi. Option C, Matthew Evans and Henry Woodward. Option D, Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton. The correct answer is Matthew Evans and Henry Woodward. Explanation: Matthew Evans and Henry Woodward invented the first electric light bulb and later sold the patent to Thomas Edison, who became well known for commercializing the invention. What is the role of elected representatives in Canada's parliamentary democracy? Option A, to serve as judges. Option B, to manage public relations. Option C, to conduct military operations. Option D, to pass laws and monitor government. The correct answer is to pass laws and monitor government. Explanation: In Canada's parliamentary democracy, elected representatives in the House of Commons and provincial legislatures are responsible for passing laws, approving expenditures, and ensuring government accountability to the public. What is a primary responsibility of the federal government in Canada? Option A, local law enforcement. Option B, national defense. Option C, public education. Option D, healthcare. The correct answer is national defense. Explanation: the federal government is tasked with national defense, which involves protecting the country from external threats, maintaining military forces, and ensuring national security and sovereignty.